Skylander Spyro's Adventure is the funnest money-making scheme I have ever experienced. But I already did a review on the series. You can check it out if you want. Or don't, the audio sucks. But now it's time to unnecessarily rank them against each other for content, baby. So here's my completely accurate tier list of every single Skylander in the first game. Spyro! The man who started it all. Activision did an impeccable job translating his moves from his original games into Skylanders, making for a very complex and dynamic character. He can ram, he can shoot fire, he can fly, he can, B tier for better than Crash. Trigger happy. Now this guy's great. Not only can he shoot a large amount of projectiles very quickly, they can also bounce off walls, which means half the screen will be covered in your bullets at all times. A tier. Perfect for people who brag about their great aim, but only ever actually use the grenade launcher. Gilgrunt. Now he's a pretty simple character, but he gets the job done. He's a nice mid-range shooter with good survivability. A tier. Would be lower, but look at that face. Eruptor. Another relatively simple character. He's got a mid-range projectile and an area of effect attack. Not much I can say. C tier for being the most generic, but also most memorable Fire Skylander. Terrafin. Probably one of the simplest Earth Skylanders, but 4-year-old me thought his digging mechanic was broken. A tier because his $5 joke was pretty funny. Sonic Boom! Yo, I can't believe they were able to get the rights to Sonic for this game. F tier because they changed the color of his arms. Chop Chop. He's awesome. He's got a sword, he's got a shield, he can slash, parry, he's got combos, perfectly balanced, fun to play as, an all-around amazing character. One of my favorites. D tier for the Dark Souls of Skylanders. Stealth Elf. Now this character is great. She's got cool slashing combos, a fun invisibility mechanic. She's an almost flawless character. S tier should have been in Lord of the Rings. Double Trouble. Double Trouble is pretty cool, I guess? He has a minion that can help him. He can shoot a green laser. A tier because he's clearly just a Kuaku from Crash Bandicoot. Drobot. Just from concept and appearance alone, this guy is awesome. But add on top of that the fact that he can constantly shoot lasers from his eyes and hover indefinitely, and you got a character that trivializes the entire game, but looks good while doing it. S tier because he's just Spyro but cooler in every way. Zap. I'm still very confused on why there were never any electric-type Skylanders, but Zap fills that role perfectly. You shoot wire into the ground and then electrify it later. Great for people who like to build traps for their enemies in games. You never seem to realize how easy it is for people to simply walk past them. A tier. Flame Slinger. He's a lot of people's favorite Fire Skylander in this game, and I can see why. Who wouldn't want to play as a blind elf archer who leaves a trail of fire everywhere they walk? And it also must be comforting for people to play a character just as blind as them, because Flame Slinger players can never actually seem to hit their targets. B tier for bugs and glitches of the game. Bash. The most generic Earth Skylander. He can hit things with his tail, and he can hit things with his head, but that's mostly it. C tier for a cool design, but not much else. Lightning Rod. Ah yes, the Chad of the Skylanders. His design is clearly based off the Greek god Zeus, and his moveset of throwing lightning bolts reflects this as well. C tier, Thor's cooler. Stump Smash. He was actually one of my favorite Skylanders as a kid, but nowadays I can't really see why. S tier because nostalgia! Woo! Ghost Roaster. A personal favorite of mine. He can swing his tail like a mace, he can turn into a giant skull and zoom around, and he can even become impervious to enemy attacks, at the cost of constant health drain. S tier for Suicide. Wrecking Ball. Another character I really like. He's got a long tongue, he can roll around like a ball, and he can fart. S tier for the peak 5-year-old comedy. Drill Sergeant. Maybe the developer should have drilled down and made a better character. C tier. Wham Shell. I just don't see why anyone would choose him when Slam Bam is right there. B tier for being a bitch to fight in battle mode. Slam Bam. Machamp, eat your heart out. S tier because he has a surfboard made of ice. Sunburn. Next. Camo. Next. Tornado! Okay, who the heck actually remembers these characters? You ask 100 people to name 10 Skylanders, these guys are never showing up. B tier, because I don't remember anything about them, but I'm sure they're fine. Tornado, you get bumped up to A tier because puns are funny, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Dino-Rang. Now, this character is evil. His boomerang brings coins and items back to him, meaning that the other player will get nothing, as Dino-Rang steals all the items that you were 2 feet away from. Come on! S tier for stealing. Cinder. I actually find this character quite fun. Her lightning and soul mechanics are pretty cool, but everyone seems to hate on her, so B tier for bandwagoning. Dude. Similar to Zap, this character is great at making traps, but unlike Zap, he is not that fun to play as. B tier, still pretty cool though. Prism Break. Ah yes, a more intellectual character. At face value, he is not all that interesting. He can shoot a beam of light and summon crystals that split the light beam into 2 beams. But an experienced player can set up these crystals in such a way that it creates a very large amount of beams that cover a lot of the stage. He may not be the best character, but he's pretty exquisite if you know how to use him. F tier because who the heck asked for 3 alternative Prism Breaks? Igniter, a pretty cool Skylander who's got a nice design and a cool sword. C tier for Lord of Cinder. Hex. She's a great well-rounded character with interesting attacks that use skulls and bones. G tier for Goth GF. Whirlwind, a cool character that can shoot out rainbows and clouds. F tier because everyone knows that Rainbow Dash is a Pegasus, not an alicorn. Ugh. The developers really need to brush up on their My Little Pony lore. Zook. I love rocket launchers in any game. Skylanders is no different, so this character has my approval. B tier for blowing things up. And finally, Boomer. What can I say? He's flawless. His design is amazing. His moveset impeccable. And that name, dude, it's perfect. Without a doubt, my favorite Skylander. B tier for Boomer.